and kind of confounding topic because there are so many pieces to it. With most of the things we've done in the past, with most of the things we've done in the past, it was kind of a concise, contained topic. So for instance, when we did the Nicene Creed, there was a lot going on at the Nicene Creed, but it was kind of a story. You know, it had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an end, and it was kind of easy to follow that story. With this story, we're talking about the windows of St. James, and there are so many pieces to those windows, and you know, who were they dedicated to? Who dedicated them there? Lots of pieces. Were these people from Leesburg? What's their story? And so we're going to kind of fight our way through. And so I'd like you, well, let's begin in prayer. So please join me in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Father, we ask you to be with us this morning. We ask you to guide us. We ask you to help us know more about the story of our church. We ask you to be with us and guide us. In the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. So, we're going to go back to the beginning of last week, where we just kind of talk about the windows of St. James. Where do Whoop, okay. I always forget where these things begin. There we are. So we see here the Tiffany window on the left, and some other windows that we don't always know where they came from or who did them, and that's kind of part of the mystery here. So. The other thing that it makes it kind of interesting about this week is last week we talked a lot about, that's better. Okay. Last week we talked a lot about the people in the church and who they were and where that information came from. This week I've decided that we really can't cover all the material that is covered by the material of the windows, because there's so many pieces to it. So what we're going to do this week is to kind of work our way through the story of Jesus as that story is told in our windows. And so we're not doing them in the order that they're laid out in the church. We're doing it we're doing more about the story of Jesus as it appears in our windows. So this is just part of a window. There's a window that we choose to call the birth of Jesus. So it's only part of a window. There's, as we'll see, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I can't hear you. So anyway, this is in loving memory of Edgar and Mary T. Birch. And as we'll see, as the window appears in our church, there's two pieces. There's this piece and the piece above it that we'll see a little bit later. And it shows us the resurrection of Jesus. Okay. after the birth of Jesus, we move on to the presentation in the temple. And it's a well-known image. It depicts the story of after Jesus is born, excuse me, after he's born, Mary and Joseph take him to the, let me see if I'm getting, where's the pointer? Which one of the buttons? You don't know. We'll discover it all together. It's usually one of them, but I'm hitting buttons and nothing's happening.
Oh yeah, here we go. Look at that. Okay, look at that little, tiny little red one.
There we go. Okay,
I didn't
great.
realize we
Thank
had
you.
one.
Also, before we get going, I'd like to say that there has been a tremendous amount of research done on the story of our windows, and I have done almost none of it, so I take no credit for it. But we have people here today who have done a whole lot. Alexi, would you like to acknowledge yourself? Thank you. And I'm sorry, who's the, Stacy? Is Stacy here? Stacy Harrison. Yeah, I know that, but I'm asking, is she here today? No? Okay, well, both of these women have done a tremendous amount of research and have discovered a great deal about the people who the windows are dedicated to and who dedicated them. And so I'll try to give credit where it's due. All right, I've discovered our, no, is it up here? Okay. Nope. Okay, here we have the presentation in the temple. In the Bible, it tells us that on the 40th day after Jesus was born, Joseph and Mary presented him at the temple, as was the Jewish custom. Ah, there we are. I have discovered my dot, so I'm thrilled. Here we have Mary, typically dressed in blue, and Joseph is standing behind her. But who are these other people? The elderly gentleman is Saint Simeon, who they meet him who they meet at the temple. Again, it's a beautiful part of the story. They get to the temple, and Simeon is there. Simeon has gone to the temple for years, and the reason he's doing this is because he was given a prophecy that he would meet the Messiah before he died. And he never, he sort of had given up hope that was going to happen. And this one day, he actually goes to the temple and sees this young couple coming in with a baby. And he recognizes this baby right away as the Messiah. And there's a beautiful speech that he gives about how happy he is and how he can now die happy because he's seen the Messiah. There's somebody else here. The prophetess Anna is also here. She also gives, kind of tells a little bit about the story of waiting for the Messiah. me see. Okay. I'm going to just leave it right there. Now the button's not working again. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, that is not where it's supposed to be. Okay. There we are. I am sorry, the tech is not supporting me today, so just bear with me. The presentation at the temple, as I recall, had Mary bringing the turtle doves with her, but it's not in the correct order. The tradition was that the parents of the child brought an offering, brought a gift for God to excuse me, to present the firstborn son. Okay. I'm sorry? There were?
Go back to the other one. See right there where the lady on the far left is holding a basket. They're tiny doves.
Okay, yeah. I'm not seeing it. I'm sorry.
There you go, right there.
Oh, okay.
Where's the dove? Is that the one you want?
Sure. All righty. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just not seeing it. Is she? What? These are not coming in the order that I had planned them. There we go. Okay, yeah, we see the basket with the doves. All right, now hopefully we're back in order. All right. So this has got me completely confused because the women at the tomb doesn't happen until much later. Okay. I'm going to have to make an executive decision here. We will talk about the images in whatever order they come up, because they're not coming up in the order I had originally put them in. So they won't be in order in Jesus' life, but they'll hopefully give us the information we needed. This is the resurrected Mary, the resurrected Jesus appearing to Mary Magdalene. Now, in the first slide, we saw the rectangular image of the birth of Jesus, and this is kind of the opposite side. That rectangular image we saw was at the bottom of this image. So we started with the birth of Jesus, and now here we are at the end of his life. And the other one I'm going to try pushing this button and see if it comes back. No, it did not. I have no idea what this picture even is. Be with us, Lord, and guide us through these images. I'm sorry, this is... I am really sorry. This is not happening in the way we had hoped it would. But I did find the doves there in the little basket in front where we see Anna prophesying. Let's move on and see what's happening now. Oh, so now we're at the women at the tomb. And this is after Jesus has appeared to Mary Magdalene. Okay? And this, of course, is the story of the Marys, Salome, Mary, the mother of, is this the mother of Jesus? Okay. These are the three women who have appeared at the tomb after, in connection with Jesus' resurrection. Before the image of, that we just saw, the image of Mary Magdalene, we have this image of the women who came to anoint the body of Jesus. They leave, and that's when Mary Magdalene appears to Jesus. As you look at these images, it would be good to point out that there are different styles of stained glass work, and there's there's what we consider the older style and a more modern style. I should mention to you that this is where he comes to the. They come to the window, and the inscription here is, "He is risen, the Lord is risen indeed." Move up. Here we have the resurrection of Jesus appearing to Mary Magdalene. We see kind of a very realistic, painted-like image here. It's called drapery glass because of the way the glass is created. The molten glass is poured and folded while it's still hot. Another thing we need to talk about with these windows is who made them. We've talked a little bit about who dedicated each one and all of that stuff, but there are four studios that have made most of the images we see today. But we don't know some of them. Some of them we immediately recognize as Tiffany. Some of them we recognize as Whipple. Whipple was another fairly well-known house. Okay, let's see where the magic windows are going to take us in this presentation. So here we have the devout centurion. And this is kind of an interesting story because this is mostly the story of this guy who we often refer to him as the devout centurion. But it's really interesting with the connection here. Who is this guy? Who's the guy who's being depicted? And we call this guy the devout centurion. He's shown in the 4th chapter of the book of Acts. An angel appears to a righteous Roman centurion and commends him for his prayers and charity. Why is that important? It's important because of the story and the way the story ties into the window and the way it ties into the dedication and I'm sorry, the way it ties into the dedication. The inscription reads, "To the glory of God and in loving memory of William Boteler." I assume that's the correct pronunciation. Is anybody familiar with William Boteler Lynch? Now, what I try to get here is that this guy, William Boteler, William Boteler Lynch actually, why is he here? Why are we doing his window? The studio that did this is unknown. We don't really know who made it actually. But the thing that I think is kind of an interesting sidebar to it is that the family of William Boteler Lynch felt that it was an important issue to point out that William Boteler Lynch was a captain in the Confederacy. And that creates kind of a weird situation for us because it's always a little embarrassing nowadays when we choose a person to discuss, a person who's in the windows or a person who's mentioned in the windows. Clearly, his family wanted to connect him with the idea of his charity and his prayerfulness and his devotion. And so we refer to him informally as the devout centurion. Okay? The studio that created this window is also unknown. We don't know exactly who made it, but we believe that it was created after the fire of 1929. Anybody here? Yes?
So I wonder if you could talk about how we know that things were created after or before.
I only know what I've researched. Basically,
Right here. Okay.
I have a pretty loud voice. I'm sure you probably hear me. Basically, glass cannot withstand a fire, right? And when we look at the church records, the records indicate that nothing was really left except for the main stone structure of the building. So we sort of assume that all the windows that were in place at the time were destroyed. This is somewhat supported by some information that was provided on the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts website, where they talk about the 2 Tiffany windows and trying to date them. Basically, they say that the windows would have had to have been done after the fire. So even if it's an earlier window, the idea is, was it a reproduction that was done of something that was in place, or did they create a new window completely? That I'm not sure we know, or at least not yet. Further research to be done. Well, I mean, it can be, oh, original as in it was in place before. But, yeah. Well, I guess it depends on the date of the window, because any of the ones that were done afterwards would have been, but for somebody like this gentleman who lived before, I mean, we don't, I guess the answer is we don't know for sure yet, and more research is to be done, but based on the comments by the VMFA, they suggest that the windows could not have withstood the fire. So unless there was maybe a part of the church that was somewhat unaffected by the fire, or the heat wasn't so much as to melt the glass, because I mean, you think about how glass is made, right? You melt it. It doesn't hold up in fire. So I'm afraid I don't know the precise answer to that question. More research is definitely in order, but I think we can assume they were afterwards. Yeah. Sure.
Would they have recreated that one, assuming it was installed in 1886? Would they have recreated it?
If they had records of it, sure, they could have. And I guess that's the question. Did the family have records of it? Was there, do they know, since we don't know who the studio is, we can't go identify the studio, see if they're still in existence, and go to their records. Now, on some of the other windows we've been able to do that. The one Lamb window, the Lamb archives are all maintained by the Library of Congress, and they're fantastic at helping with research. So, you know, we've been able to go back with that window and actually find the order book where that window was ordered. But, you know, with respect to some of these others, I don't know, not yet anyway. So. No, sadly, Tiffany's studio burned down and all the records were destroyed with it. So the company actually went out of business in 1932. He had a place on Long Island that was his home, and also his studios with all of his archives, and sadly it all burned down, so we have no Tiffany records.
You know, as we said earlier, it's a very complicated and somewhat confusing story, because some of these people died at around 1905, 1910, and had the windows made almost immediately. Others died, and the windows were created later on. So it would be so much nicer if we could say, here's this person, they died in 1905, their window was made in 1910, we know their whole story. But that's not the way it came about. Some of them, the windows were created a while later, and others, the family didn't get around to dedicating the window till much later. So we're having to kind of recreate the story as much as we know. Any questions? Let me see who we're going to get next. I will tell you that my granddaughter comes to church with us sometimes, and I asked her, I said, what's your favorite window? And she said, well, I really like the one with the lady in the gold dress and the red cape. Unfortunately, that's not who this was supposed to be. It's an angel appearing, and she's appearing to or she or he are appearing to the centurion. Angels, usually as depicted in biblical stories, are male or female, or neither. Okay, let's see what else we have here. This is a window that's dedicated to Armistead Rust by his children. Armistead attended Georgetown and West Point and served in the CSA again. These families were proud that their members had served faithfully. Although today we feel a slight uneasiness with, celebrating the relationship to the CSA. Now, the image in the window here is, it's an image of St. John, the evangelist, who we associate with author of the the images of St. John the Evangelist, author of the fourth gospel and the book of Revelations. Often he is depicted as an eagle, or depicted with an eagle as part of his iconography. The verse here attached into this window is from Revelations 14:13. Then I heard a voice from heaven say, "Write this, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on." The studio here is once again not known. We don't know what studio created this. It's a beautifully done piece. It's very kind of similar. It doesn't have the kind of drapery look of that some of the earlier ones had. Okay, so here we see Armistead's name. The Rust family was a very old and well-known family here in Leesburg. Okay, here we have a window that we refer to as the Open Arms of Jesus. This one is in memory of Adolphus Lee Penuel by his daughter, Jean Penuel Gibson. This window was created and offered, we believe, in 1936. The inscription is "Come unto me." It comes from the Lamb Studios, and it is one of the original windows. It was not created later on after the fire, as far as we know. It's by the Lamb Studios, and the image here being "Come unto me." There are a number of different kind of, I don't know how I want to describe it, windows that, some of the windows are, the theme is the birth of Jesus or the resurrection of Jesus, but then there are a number of windows that are kind of associated with resurrection and death. And so a number of these windows, like the Open Arms of Jesus, Come unto me, the theme here is kind of a theme of resurrection. We saw that, if you remember last week, we talked about the Tiffany image that showed the golden cross and the lilies. And that is also considered one of the windows that kind of deals with resurrection and death. Sorry?
Singular button right there, so.
Okay, where is it? What's, okay. Here?
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. Yeah, okay. The inscription here is "To the glory of God in loving memory of Lily Rust Edwards and Lee Edwards Cox." This is a really, I think, fascinating window. It also depicts that kind of death, resurrection, life after death, being welcomed into heaven type story. This is the vision of the New Jerusalem coming down from heaven. It's a very unusual image. It's biblical. And God shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes. Again, this is a resurrection theme, and it is associated with the book of Revelations. But who are these people, and what do they mean? What does this window mean? We have here the image of God wiping away the tears from the eyes of those who have died in Christ. We have these two people. Are they women? Are they both men? Or could they be a woman and a man? We're not given a great deal of help with that. We're not given a great deal of help with that identification. We see the New Jerusalem coming down from heaven. This, again, is from the book of Revelations, chapter 21. It's a hopeful vision of the harvesters bringing in the sheaves. Here they are bringing in the sheaves. We don't know exactly who these people are. It's clear that they're people who have died in the Lord, and they are now arriving at heaven and bringing their they've harvested. They've brought in the harvest. Here are these two people. It becomes really interesting because we don't know who these two people are. Are they women? Are they men? It's dedicated to Lily Rust Edwards, which is another proud old family from Leesburg. Lily Rust Edwards lived from 1867 to 1937, and Lee Edwards Cox lived 1898 to 1950. Are these two people the two people who are pictured here? The studio here is not known. We don't know which studio created this window, but it's considered to be one of the original windows. Okay. So we move to the back of the church, and this is called a triptych. It's a triptych because it's 3 windows. It's based on the book of John, chapter 8, verse 12. It's taken, interestingly, it's taken from a well-known painting called The Light of the World, and it was originally a painting that was very famous. The painting is from a pre-Raphaelite painting. William Holman Hunt painted this painting in 1853, 1854, and the window was copied from the painting by William Holman Hunt. It's an image of the light of the world. And it's kind of unusual because it, again, let me get back there if I can. No, it's not cooperating. Okay, we'll go back to Come Unto Me. Here's the, here we are. It's an interesting image. It pictures Jesus wearing a crown and standing knocking at a door. And so it's often referred to as the, I am the light of the world. It's also the image of Jesus knocking at the door. Okay? So it's been, I want to apologize for this being kind of confusing today because I had them in order when I put this presentation together, but the images got put out of order, and I'm not really sure how that happened. Okay, any questions? We're just about out of time.
More for the research. Is there much of anything in vestry records that indicates?
Not a lot, at least the vestry records that have been shared with me, and I haven't dug through the entire
Well, there's
church library. Yeah, but no, there's not a lot.
Some churches you go into and there's a cohesion to the progression of the images, and it'll, they're all very similar, or one leads to the next. The birth, maybe you have the birth, and then maybe that leads to the image of Jesus preaching in the temple, or one after the other. I think these windows are interesting because they don't really do that. There are just kind of, some of them are just random images. They don't necessarily follow the story of Jesus' life. Okay?
But she made one of the windows. Do you know about that one? Elaine, she was
Oh,
sitting.
yeah. I was sort of hoping Elaine would be here today.
She was.
So she could- I'm sorry? One of our parishioners, Elaine Nunnally, designed one of the half-moon windows. If you've ever noticed behind the pulpit, there's a half-moon or a demi-lune image. The window is shaped like a half circle, and Elaine Nunnally, one of our parishioners, designed that. Now, there's another half-moon window on the other side, and I don't know who designed that window or what the story is behind that window. I'm sorry?
There's two in the kitchen.
Are you asking me if I know anything about that one? No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, some of the windows, where we say we don't know the studio, others we can look at that image and say, this is what it is. This is the presentation at the temple, or this is the birth of Jesus. Elaine's window, we know what the story is. It's actually an image of baptism. You see the Holy Spirit in that image, and you see on the other side an image that I presume is God the Father and the whole idea of baptism. It's the one, if you're looking at if you're out in the church and you're looking at the altar, it's the one behind the pulpit. Yes, yeah. It's when Chad or Mary Beth are up there giving a sermon, they're standing in front of that window, Elaine's window.
It was designed by this man right here, Art Blakesley, and they're dedicated to Jack Mann, who committed suicide. And they picked out different images from his things like that. And yeah, he designed them.
Oh, you designed those? Oh, wow.
And they were built by a company in Percival. They were done by a company in Percival.
Does everybody have a favorite window?
We should add that to
Raise your hand if you have a favorite window. Yeah, I know when I first started coming to St. Anthony's, one of my first tasks I set myself was, what's my favorite window at St. James? Okay. Okay, well, we're going to have to adjourn, and so thanks for coming. Sorry the windows got out of